Hi, I'm Paul Blackbeard, and over the next 12 minutes or so, I'd like to introduce you to the Argil strategic customer growth process and take you on a bit of a customer journey. This is a powerful Hall of Fame advertising slogan that summarizes how I felt. I was so impressed using this customer process as a client for about 8 years that I eventually purchased the Argil strategic customer growth process and its global IP. I'm a believer in the power of this process, having experienced it as a client. Argil has over 15 years of global experience in helping B2B organizations across a number of industries grow by leveraging customer insights into their strategy. Gartner quote that 65% of a company's business can come from existing customers, while it can cost 5 times as much to attract a new customer than keep an existing one satisfied. It's probably a good idea to use benchmarking in helping develop business with current customers. Now, you may feel that you already know exactly where you are with your customers. You probably do to a certain extent. Or do you really? How much of your customer's strategic intent do you know? Are you absolutely sure that your competitor isn't getting their hooks deeper down your customer's throat? How close are you really with your customers? Are you regularly having operational or strategic growth discussions? Are you talking mainly price or strategy? The best way to find out where you are with your customers is to ask them. But this is not just as simple as picking up a phone and asking, "Hey, Mr. Customer, are you happy with our products and services?" or ticking off a smiley face box. A good metric should yield new insights based on user actions and not just opinions. The companies who are successful recognize that finding out where they are with their customers is a critical strategic weapon that can bring increased market share and, of course, increased profits. Satisfying a strategic intent of developing strong business relationships with key customers necessitates a more tactical approach. It's a process. The strategic customer growth process has been proven time and time again to be an effective vehicle to do just that, and it facilitates businesses to strategically head in the same direction. The strategic customer growth process is a strategic one, and for that reason the approach is quite different to that of a normal customer satisfaction survey. Not just any customer is chosen to participate in this kind of process. Key customers are selected with the understanding that what works for them will impact the rest of the customer base. The basic route can be broken down into 3 parts. First, we prepare. Then there's the important scan and listen phase with the customers. And finally, the joint focus and action. The first session, leadership mobilization, is in the prepare phase. Those who experience the strategic customer growth process for the first time are often surprised and impressed by the richness of it and the quality of the outcomes that evolve and change the way you do business with your key customers. In fact, all your customers. Gathering this information is done through a qualitative rating scale of 1 to 5 and a qualitative method. There's always value in being able to substantiate the reason for a rating. For example, my rating of 3 could mean something totally different to your 3. Words just seem to give the 3 more clarity for action. During the leadership mobilization, it's made clear that the strategic customer growth process could flush out the need to have a critical strategic change for the company, which is why it needs to be led from the top. One of the most critical success factors is that the senior team has absolute clarity on each step of the process and commits to it. They decide which key customers need to participate and will add value to the process, and this is done using our unique customer selection tool. The senior management team also develops the leadership criteria on which they'd like to be measured by key customers. This is very specific to your company and by definition sets you apart from conventional customer satisfaction surveys. Working out what questions to ask at a detailed level means seeing the world from your customer's point of view. What do they consider important? Their factors or attributes will differ from company to company. These could include criteria around brand and reputation, loyalty, price, product, delivery, staff, services, operational and strategic intent issues. Based on this input, a questionnaire is developed and used to extract the relevant information from the interviewees. By now it's time to put yourself in the customer's shoes. The criteria to be used for the unique measurement system have been developed into a visual wheel, and the questionnaire has been finalized. The key customers have been selected, and the team now spend time to think from a different angle. They are given the opportunity to answer the questions and give ratings on the criteria as though they are the customer. In other words, how do you think the customer will rate us? This internal review also gives the Argil interviewer some background on each key account and gives you the opportunity to make some minor changes to the questionnaire. When we enter the scanning phase, it's important to agree who should be interviewed. Because of the nature of this strategic process, it is vital that the correct people are chosen to participate in the interviewing phase. The recommendation is these interviewees are key decision makers and influencers in the business. They could come from the shareholder level to senior management to middle management, and also relevant departments. These are individuals who have a direct impact on the strategic direction your company needs to take. Face-to-face interviewing is the preferred approach to gather this important information. This approach has a number of advantages over other forms of data collection. In a face-to-face situation, interviewers can also use observational techniques that help put the interviewee or the respondent's comments into context, with additional probing questions asked if required. People usually feel relieved that the issues have been heard, encouraged by the ideas that emerge, and inspired by the process for change, and energized to move forward to achieve it. They have discovered that there's real wisdom that can be drawn from their collective experiences and insights, provided the right tools are used to unlock it. Argil collates and analyzes the interview data in preparation for the internal results day. The data will be collated into both qualitative and quantitative format. Information captured during the interview process has verbatim comments and is not just summarized. The way you think you are performing is not always reality. Fortunately or unfortunately, this is one of the biggest bridges for a company to cross, as they need to listen and accept the information given to them. What you perceive as correct and what the customer believes is reality may be two totally different pictures. The customer's perception is in fact your reality. Removing the self-deception in this facilitated process is a significant part of the process and probably one of the most powerful. Think of it as putting on a different set of glasses and starting to see things from a different perspective. There are of course a number of pair of glasses that can be used for this reality to emerge. The perception gap, this is the first step. Where do you think our customers will rate us, and what do you think they'll say? This can be interesting. In this facilitated environment, you are asked to put on the customer's glasses and answer the question from their angle. Hearing your colleague's perspective is also quite revealing. It's healthy, and it gets the group to reach a global understanding of where you think you are. Then there's the reality gap. In the face-to-face interviews, this reality is the actual reflection of where you are. Plotting your ratings against the customer's ratings will reveal one of two things. Either show you how you are aligned in your thinking, or you're not aligned. In other words, where the customer's rated you is not always the same place as you thought it would be. Then there's the expectation gap. This is the next critical gap identified in finding out what your customer's expectations are compared to how you're currently performing. The face-to-face interview extracts information that identifies exactly what you need to do to improve in each of the criteria. This kind of detail is potent and develops insights that otherwise may have been overlooked. Finally, we have the competitor gap. The face-to-face interviews also provide this angle of valuable information. You find out how you're doing in comparison with your competitor. This rating often gets a company to sit up and pay attention. The data from the interviews is presented back to the leadership team in both qualitative and quantitative results. Key messages are highlighted through the good and not so good feedback. Dealing with the issues with a gunshot approach is not clever. There's far too much to deliver and not enough time and resources to support it. The strategic customer growth process moves the conversation to focus on the top 3 important actions that will have the biggest impact on your customers. These then become the driving force to deliver on 70 to 80% of the issues highlighted during the face-to-face interviews. All the information from the face-to-face interviews is shared to both parties, you and your customer, in a facilitated environment where both parties work towards developing joint solutions. This is where the art of having valuable strategic conversations is experienced. The power of the process lies right here. The future of your organization can depend on the quality of your customer conversations and the actions that follow. Trust and credibility is built when these conversations turn into results. Within internal operations, we can answer questions like, which processes create value? What impacts our costs? How to motivate our people? How to get better strategy implementation? With your customers, you can better understand them and their needs. How to change the conversation? What is your differentiated value proposition? How to align your strategic plan? How to move from a vendor to start developing a partnership? The first step is to gain a clear understanding of the different types of business relationships, and then jointly discovering with your key customers what type of business relationship is best suited to deliver on expected outcomes. Openness and transparency is experienced when both parties can pinpoint where the business relationship is currently operating, where it should be in a year's time, and then in 3 to 5 years. Having this roadmap drawn up ensures that the right resources, investment and time is dedicated to these important business relationships. Regular follow-ups and monitoring of the process of the deliverables must become second nature. As you implement strategy, you move from the big thing to the doing. It's during the execution that it becomes clear that what sounded good in theory doesn't always work in practice. As a result, implementations must be reviewed to ensure that you're achieving the desired strategic objectives. The parties involved decide how often this reviewing step needs to happen and who needs to attend. This could be as often as every 2 weeks in small components, once a month, or every second month, but waiting 6 months to check on implementation is a recipe for failure. Remember that implementation of any change requires that people need to move from an old habit, and therefore a constant check is healthy for the process of implementation, and Argil will be with you during this important phase, during these steps. Repeating the strategic customer growth process every year not only instills a culture of external focus in your company, it's also healthy and encouraging to measure the improvements and identify further actions that need attention. Things will change over time, and these notable movements instill confidence, loyalty, and trust with your key business relationships, and give your people the encouragement and incentive that they are doing what they are doing is making a difference. Obviously, the goal of every company should be to develop customers with a preference attitude, but it takes continuous customers measuring to get there, and even more effort to stay there. The external customer feedback can be a key input into your annual business planning. The results experienced with this strategic approach are rich and long-lasting, and the benefits impact the bottom line and sustainable growth, just to name a few areas. What I've tried to talk through in this presentation is covered in this route map. Good luck, and I hope you enjoy the customer journey with Argil.